Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
I'm your host, Adam Pross, and this is the River Run Podcast. What is going on, everybody? I'm your host, Adam Pross, and I welcome you to another episode of the River Run Podcast. This week, I got another Smallie guy stopping by. This guy is, you probably know who he is. His name is Josh Chrenko. He is the Achigan brand. He does the Smallie Talk Podcast. So for all you that like Smallies, and you haven't heard of this podcast, which you probably already have, but if you haven't, check it out. Loads of great episodes. But yeah, no. Welcome. We got some cool stuff going on. Don't forget, one of the biggest things we got coming on right now. Well, when this is dropping, this great Midwest Yes, is hitting Springfield, Ohio. That's right. The Kayak Adventure Series is going to be in Springfield, Ohio for the week, but you can go and join the Kayak Adventure Series as the tournament dates from the 13th to the 14th. I think this event's going to be really cool. I'm pretty sure if you didn't already know, but I'm sure Brad Hicks and Matt Souders are going to be there from the Catch Podcast. As this is like their own stomping ground. Yeah, check it out. It looks like it's going to be really cool. You can head over to the Kayak Adventure Series.com. Check it out. They have all the list of dates there, all the information you need. So yeah, if you're within a couple hours drive, or you want to, hey, all my folks up in Canada, if you want to head down to Springfield, Ohio, check it out. Kayak Adventure Series is going to be down there. That is, if you don't know, but if you're going to know right now, that is the Drew Gregory masterpiece right there that he's put together. And he has got a list of events coming out. As always, check it out. The kayakadventureseries.com is where you can find that. Also, another fun fact is Dubro Fishing. Dubro Fishing is offering the listeners of the River Run Podcast a save 10 at checkout, which is a promo code which runs at RRUN10 and save 10 at checkout. Go get yourself a Do More utility cup. I'm telling you, it is the most badass cup out there for any kayak. It fits all the models out there. It will go in your boat, in your car, you name it, it is there. It is a great cup. And Mr. Schiller and all the fine folks over at Dubro Fishing have done a A+ job on that. And I got one last year, and I'll be getting another one because I need one for another boat, and I'm probably going to put one in a couple of the boats at the cottage. So yeah, check it out. Do More Utility Cup is the cup for any kayak adventure angler out there that needs to hold a water bottle or your tackle. Don't also forget, Jackson Kayaks has a fantastic lineup of kayaks, whether you're whitewater or you're a kayak fishing angler like myself. I got a Liska, and I also have the Bite FD. Hey, if you're looking for your next kayak, check it out. Jackson's got a full lineup of pedal drives and paddle boats for you. Also, don't forget Yak Attack. Yes. Every kayak angler is always rigging that dream, right? There's like 1,000 different ways that we can rig a boat. And you know what? Yak Attack has all the products that you need. So go check them out, yakattack.usa. Go give him a hello from the River Run podcast. Wade, he's always putting out some sweet videos. He's always rocking. Well, not always, but some of these videos, I'm starting to notice that this River Run podcast hat is in it. No, that's cool. So I just want to give a shout out to Wade. Thank you for always, supporting the River Run podcast. And so, but at the end of it, thanks for coming on by. I want to get to it, I think it's time to talk smallies, and I think it's time to introduce my guest. And my guest this evening is the one and only Josh Chrenko. Josh, what's going on, dude?
What's up, dude? How's it going, Adam?
Oh, not bad, man. Not bad. It's I gotta say, just like my last episode, this is the second episode of the second season of the River Run podcast, and this was another dude in the lineup for season 1 to come on and talk smallies and all the other goodness that he brings with the Achigan brand, Smallie Talk Podcast. So no, dude, welcome, and once again, thank you so much for taking time to sit down with me and talk.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. I know we had some the accident and whatever. I'm sure you've discussed on the podcast previously, and I heard about that. And actually, I think I can't remember exactly what happened. I think I didn't hear from you for a minute, and I was like, it's kind of weird because he was really responsive, and then I think you maybe posted about it later, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like immediately showed my wife. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is like one of my biggest fears out on the water, because everybody's been around when like a tree has like fallen close to them.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God, I was just over there sort of thing. And yeah, you don't think it'll like actually happen, but dude, that's wild, man. Wild story. I know you probably don't want to get into it, but definitely said some prayers for you in the Chrenko household, and glad to see you back at it, and glad to be on here with you. So.
Yeah, well, and I thank you. I appreciate all those, prayers and thoughts and everything in it, because I definitely needed them at that time. And no, I'm thankful to still be here, being able to do what I do. And that's why I just thought, like when you're getting in the lineup for season 2, when you're getting back at it, because I needed some time, right? And so coming back into it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to call up my buddy Josh and be like, yo, I need you to come on to the podcast because this is long overdue,
Heck
so,
yeah, man, for sure.
So, you know what? How about this? Why didn't I let you go ahead and introduce yourself, and you can handle that, and then we'll dive into this.
Yeah, sure, man. Like I said, my name is Josh Chrenko. I'm born and bred in Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Indiana Pacers. Tomorrow night's the first finals game in 25 years, so I'm pretty pumped for that. I'm lifelong. I was at Reggie Miller's last game. Like I've been Pacers fan since I've been pretty much like old enough to appreciate sports, so pretty pumped about that. But yeah, I think like I hate coming on here and like talking about myself. It's not something I do very easily, but I
take the time, dude.
I kind of like known for the Smallie Talk podcast, kind of the kind of thing that started the whole obsession. But I without going through all the things that I do, which is a lot of multitude of things, I honestly am just a smallmouth nerd. I'm probably the biggest smallmouth nerd out there, and it's funny. You always like anybody that fishes, like seriously, like meets people and like ends up getting in a conversation about fishing, and like everybody has fishing's related to everybody to some extent. Everybody has fished some of their life, and they'll be like, oh yeah, my brother-in-law caught a big fish or whatever in this pond, and they're like showing you pictures and stuff. And like I always tell people, like, well, I'm kind of like next level weird fisherman. Like I don't just like fish. I only fish for one species, and I host a podcast about it. I own an apparel brand about it. Like it's like sort of part of my identity. So that's, I think, in a nutshell, man. I don't even know why I got into smallmouth so singularly, but for whatever reason, I am, and it's what I'm all about. And I spend most of my time, when I'm not hanging out with my family. I have 2 daughters and a wife at home. When I'm not doing that or work, I am trying to find smallmouth. That's kind of what I do. So, yeah.
No, that's cool. Like, and would you say you were like the leader of the bronze cult? I'm just curious. Like, are you?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
guys have
I'm.
Rituals and stuff? Like, I'm just curious.
We make just sacrifices every once in a while. No big deal. Yeah. So that's the Achigan thing, which kind of has its roots in Canada. Honestly, it's like that word is kind of a Canadian French word, and it has a few different translations. The French still use it. Like I know people from France because I work with some companies that are based out of France, and
Okay.
I've like they've seen, everybody knows me for that. So when I'm at I own a medical business. I'm always at these sales conferences, and people are like, he's the fishing guy and hosts podcasts, and they're like, well, why do I asked them, like, what does that mean? And most people see that as just like bass over there, like that word represents like just bass of any kind. But its origins are specifically in Ojibwe, which is the like native tongue of the Algonquin Native Americans, and that translated to one which fights, and that's what they referred to smallmouth as Achigan. So that's kind of where that came from. So kind of
No,
cool.
that's I think that's a pretty neat part. Like seeing how passionate, like I love fishing the river, like hands down. Even just catching smallmouth to me has always been just a passion. Like it is just something for me that there's nothing else really does it. You know what I mean? And the years and years that I've been doing it, and the more I find, like, yeah, I love going out fishing with my kids and friends, but like when you get that drive, that's like oh, you want to go out and like catch pike. It's like, no, not really. Like I'm just gonna wait for the smallies. The smallies are waiting for me. I'm gonna wait for them, and yeah, like there's just something about being like a river rat. And I remember the first time I stumbled across the Achigan brand, and I was just like, wow, like this just like where do you get the gold membership for this club? I'm just curious, because I want to be a part of this,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's cool, and I think what you guys do, just your graphic designs and just that whole culture that you put together, it's got a pretty neat following, man. Like, and you're starting to see, like, I'm sure, like, not just following in the States, but following within Canada also, like that's got to be pretty, like, in some ways satisfactory too, to see that people are actually like, holy crap, like I thought maybe this would just stay in like Indiana, and then like, maybe it'll grow, to the, some of the other states that, carry some big smallmouth following to it, but like to have, beginning to see it in Canada, it's got to be, at the same time, it got to be a sense of achievement right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Anytime we see like an international order come through, which I mean, I shipped a lot of stuff to Canada. It's a little tricky with the whole, the whole customs like stuff. I've had some people not happy about how much they had to pay, when
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
like
the
going
duty.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But obviously Canada has some like crazy smallmouth water, so we know that there's people up there, and I've had some people ask in other countries, Japan, which we don't ship to anywhere else besides Canada, in the US, but definitely have had requests in other countries. And yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, I don't know how many states we've shipped to. It's definitely not all 50, but it's probably very close. So I know we've had Alaska, Hawaii, definitely some like crazy places you would just never guess that people, order smallmouth stuff. So it's cool, man. Yeah, definitely neat. We started that thing as like an idea in my head, met in my basement right across, the wall over there, and started talking about how we're going to do it. And yeah, just like, never done anything like that before. And it was cool. It's a neat thing. It's kind of grown its own legs, and it's my goal to do that for a living. And we're getting closer. So we're getting closer to that. So yeah.
Now, like I gotta ask you there, because you said you got together in your basement, and like the Achigan brand isn't just you, right? Like you have
No.
you have a group of guys that you work with who help
Yep.
make this a reality at the same time, and that's pretty cool to like still have that. And I'm sure those are probably friends too that are as passionate as you are about it, or have some sort of insight into how marketing works, and just the idea of getting a brand out there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I won't say any of us like know what we're doing. It's definitely more so of like buddies that like the outdoors, like to fish, and we're like, we want to start something. So one of my business partners is my neighbor, believe it or not, and I didn't know him until 2019 when we moved in this house and started. It was like the Step Brothers scene where we were like, did we just become best friends?
Yeah,
Like that
just
was
don't touch
like,
my drum set.
yeah, exactly. So he's an Andrew. His name's Andrew. He's an awesome dude. He's actually like really high up in the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and like just he has a master's in wildlife management. It's just like a real well-rounded outdoorsman. And I kind of got him into smallmouth fishing a little bit, gave him one of my kayaks to keep at his house, and then next thing you know, he's like hooked, and then we start fishing together. And then the other guy's my brother-in-law, Dustin, who we've always done outdoor stuff since I've been, known him since we married our wives that are sisters. So we done outdoor stuff a lot and got into kayaking and smallmouth kind of at the same time. And the thing is with Andrew and Dustin, they're both very talented artists, and that's kind of what made this work. Is they do the drawing and graphic design part of it, and without them, there's no way. Yeah, it wouldn't be what it is, because it's like a combination of everything that goes into it. And
Oh, I bet.
yeah, and then Derek is a minority shareholder. Derek, he's the Hoosier State Fishing guy, if you've seen him around.
He has great videos.
Yeah, he does our social media, which is kind of his gift to the company. So me and him just went and smoked a bunch of smallmouth in Michigan a couple weeks ago. So including a 22-incher. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, is that one of the first for the year, or is that a
22? That's only the second 22 I've ever caught. So I have my personal best 22 and a quarter. And I caught that in February of 23. And then, that fish, I was like completely not expecting it. It was the first fish. I was like 10 casts into fishing on this river right across from the ramp. And I saw this fish. It ate the munchie too, which was really sick. A visual eat like came and just crushed it, and I was like, "Oh my god, Derek, this is a big one." I was like, "Get the net," and he like barely had. He was still getting his fishing stuff ready, and we were in my jet boat, and he like gets the net, and I'm like, "Dude, this is a big one." And I'm thinking it's like 20. I've caught a lot of 20s in my day. Like I'm thinking it's like 20, and then it like hit the net, and I was like, "Holy shit, man! Like this is like big." And we like put it up on the deck, and it's the first fish you've caught. So, you're like gauging. It's hard to gauge size when you haven't seen a few of them throughout the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was nuts, dude. It was a humongous. I mean, it was a a dinosaur. It was crazy.
It's like,
So
yeah, well, so I'm done for the day. I caught my 22. I'm good to go.
basically,
Like, let's pack up and go, bud.
I
That's
know.
that's kind of
I
how
know.
that, because they catch 2 22s and one day, but no,
Yeah.
that had to be an experience, man, especially when you're least expecting it, like those bites when you, and it's cool when you see a visual bite, when you actually see it come up, and
That was awesome.
you
Yeah.
and like your heart, it's like your heart's going, you're like and then you're like, gotta remember to breathe, because I still gotta be able to set this hook and do everything, and I gotta land this fish too, right? So
Yeah, that's why we
no,
do it though, right? I
no,
mean, that's
it's
that
a
like moment where you like the fish hits, you set the hook, you're feeling the drag, you're fighting it in, which is like pretty fleeting. I mean, that's like,
mhm.
maybe a couple minutes. Well, it's not like you're fighting a 50-pound catfish and you're just like peeling drag for hours. Like
Yeah.
it's like this is like pretty quick thing, but that like little whatever, dopamine, adrenaline, whatever, all the
Oh yeah.
combination of chemicals in your brain you're getting at that time, like that's why we do it. So
Yeah, it and let's be serious here. Like, there's no better fight than a smallmouth fight. You know what I mean? Like, that thing, pound for
I
pound,
agree.
is going to be putting it out there. He or she is just so pissed off. They're weird in their ways that they
Yeah.
they, they attack things, and they're just not ready to surrender. You know what I mean? It's like you catch a largemouth, and it's like he inhales it, and then you set the
Wet
hook, and
blanket.
he's like, it's like you can walk a dog, like, come on, let's go, like you can just get it to walk right beside you. Where Smalley's like, it's just gonna do anything to get off that line, shake it, crash in, flip out of the
Yeah.
water, you name it. Like, it's just so explosive. And
Yeah, especially in a river.
yeah,
Yeah. A river's like another element of like that's where
moving water,
yeah, I mean,
logs,
guys that you're I know your podcast is the River Run podcast, and so I appreciate the style fishing you do, but like most smallmouth guys are not river guys, they're lake guys. Like that's
mhm,
like when you think of like smallmouth that people think of like,
lake
up
smallmouth,
your way, Lake Ontario, Erie, St. Clair, those type places,
big
because that's
water.
where you see like, the Bassmaster guys go and catch smallmouth.
Yeah.
But like rivers, dude, are like, yeah, I always like try to explain when I'm talking to somebody, even that bass fishers that doesn't know about that. And I'm like, imagine like fishing for largemouth in like the springtime when they're hitting top water in like 6 inches of water and you're fishing reeds and stuff. Like this is how river fishing is all year long. Like the smallmouth don't have anywhere to go. Like they don't go deep. Like they're staging in like, maybe 4 or 5 foot of water. Like you're gonna get that like action all year round. And it's dude, there's nothing like it.
Yeah,
Nothing like it.
and it is so true. And like, I have spent time fishing lakes, and there's nothing, you know watching them on the graph there, and yeah, okay, yeah, and then you see it come along, and it's like, oh, okay, we've met something, and you're 30 to 40 feet of water, and you're fighting these fish, and it's a cool experience for sure.
Yeah, it's fun for
But the
sure.
river is just so, like, it's just so unpredictable, in the sense that, like, they're going through, because the rivers are always changing, right?
Mhm.
And as you flow, as you go down, there's something new that you may have not noticed from the last time. There's another rock structure that you didn't know that was there, or there's down logs. Watch out for the trees. And it's just that idea that you can just kind of throw them something, and it's like, oh, there's something there. You know what I mean? And they take it, and they just go mad for things. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's a psychotic fish in its weird little ways. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah, and
I just
they
think,
know how to use the river too. That's the other thing. Like they
mhm,
use I mean, there's especially when you're in a river that has a lot of gradient and it's like fast. Like especially bigger fish, like they know like, oh, I'm gonna take you out in this current, and not only am I gonna pull like a 4 pound fish, but I'm gonna use this current that like will increase my strength by 2. It's like nitrous button for freaking smallmouth for sure.
100%. I can't agree more with that. Like that is so true, because it's interesting when you do, especially like in that heavy current where you're fighting them and that white water's just going, and the next thing you know, it's like how is he winning this? You know what I mean? Like how are you're not getting off, and it's like, oh, and then next thing you know, you see that thing come up and it shakes it, and you're like, oh. And they knew where to go. They know where to run. They know where the escape plan is. The Smallie escape plan. That's what I call it. But yeah, dude, like it's cool. That's why, like, I just thought you'd be like such a great fit for the River Run podcast, because like you are a river angler, and like you fish smallmouth. Like, your social media has got, some pretty awesome fish on it. And you're all about the trips, road trips, you're always, and like, I gotta ask you, like, what has got to be your favorite road trip? Like, it could be a recent one, it could be, one that you did a couple of years back, but like, you guys always seem to have a lot of fun on these road trips, because if you listen to the Smallie Talk podcast, you guys like recap. They're like, yeah, so day one we got out, we're all, waging bets here, and all this. So yeah,
I mean, yeah. So you're asking like my favorite like trip of all time?
Yeah. What's your all-time favorite trip here? Like, because we hear so many of them, like on the Smallie Talk podcast. So
yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of cool places in the style of fishing we do. Like, there's kind of like unlimited places to go, because even like smaller rivers are really fun. Like I've definitely gotten more of an appetite for the big rivers in probably the last 5 years. Like, I enjoy the challenge of like finding them on bigger water. But like you can go, you can hop in a creek, dude, in like Wisconsin and just crush them. Like it doesn't, like, there's not like these destinations like, oh, I've been to all of them. Like, there's always more to go to.
yeah.
But I would say my favorite place in the world and favorite all-time trip was the first year we went to the Upper Mississippi River, which is, I don't know how close that is to you, like in Canada where you're at, but dude, I to this day, like, some of the fishing was like so mind-blowing. I just didn't even know it was possible. And
which state were you in when you went on that trip?
Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I've been back there multiple times, and probably the second year the fishing was just as good, because we kind of knew what we were doing. Like, we went there like knowing like, okay, this is what the fish are going to be doing. But like that first year was like completely unexpected. Like, we knew it was like, oh yeah, I remember the first day we didn't really have a great first day, like, but like I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I think I had like 10 fish over 18, a couple 19, something like that. And I was like, dude, this is going to be awesome. Little did I know, like, it was like the next day was like going to be the best day of fishing I've ever had in my life. Like,
oh no,
crazy numbers of 20s, like just unbelievable fishing. So that first year was just special because of that. We didn't expect it. And it's like anything else. You go on trips now and you reset your expectations, but like when you achieve like that kind of like fishing, you're comparing everything to that. You're like, okay,
yeah,
what was this like compared to that? And I do think there's better fishing to be had. Probably not in like a shallow river though. Like, that's probably the best shallow river smallmouth fishing you could just possibly ever experience. You go to like places like St. Lawrence, which, if you count that as a smallmouth river, which it is, but it's not the same type of river that we would. Yeah. There's bit better bags to be had just because of the population of fish and that sort of thing. But like, you're also not catching them on top water, and they're not coming up and crushing a fluke, or you're catching them in a lot of like deeper areas. using live scope and that sort of thing. So
That
yeah,
is
Upper Mississippi,
cool.
year one, favorite trip ever. So
No, the St. Lawrence River, when you talk rivers, there's a lot of tributaries to the St. Lawrence River that resemble more of the style of fishing that you and I do. But yeah, when you go on the St. Lawrence River, you're probably going to be running, you're going to be playing deep with electronics. You know what I mean? You're going to be chasing fish all over the place. And it's definitely, if you've never experienced it, it is a worthwhile adventure to take, because it is just, the St. Lawrence is really a cool site in itself, and you can fish it from all sorts of different spots. But it definitely has a different vibe compared to like kind of the smaller, more tributary style rivers that I enjoy to fish. But I know
that said, I want to get up there and fish it. So that's,
dude, you got to come up. Come to
100%.
Canada. Come to
Yes.
Canada. Canada. It's got, we're always welcoming of our, fellow American Smallie guys. That we like. So come up, man. Anytime. I did want to ask you though. You do a lot of these like trips where you're going and you're checking out all these different like the Susquehanna and whatnot. But I gotta ask you, you do actually a little bit of tournament fishing, or is it just kind of like once in a while you decide to sign up for one and you become like the Bassmaster champion? I'm just curious, because like I remember that when that happened, and I think that was like 2023 you won that.
Yeah.
And then I know you definitely hit up some tournaments here and there, but I think that's a pretty prestigious thing to have won, and also to have that satisfactory of holding that trophy. That's pretty cool.
It was pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie about that. I mean, tournament fishing is something I enjoy doing. It's definitely not what I'm not like would classify myself as a tournament fisherman. I'm probably hybrid tournament guy / like trophy guy, but I would lean more on the trophy side. So I have at times gotten into where I'm like fishing a lot of tournaments, but they're mostly local tournaments. So I'm like fishing a lot of I've won a couple Angler of the Years here locally, and like that was my goal. Is like, okay, I want to win the Angler of the Year, so I'm going to fish this whole series, inside of whatever. But I still only really fish river events. I don't mess with a lot of the lakes. Even like some of the championships that I've been invited to, I've kind of pissed some people off because they're like, dude, why don't you fish in the championship? I'm like, dude, it's on a lake. Like, I don't want to go waste my time fishing that. But I mean, I fish a lot of lakes in my day, but mostly like, a while ago when I was like in the largemouth and stuff, and I just really haven't done it a lot. And we don't really have smallmouth lakes in Indiana too, for like full disclosure. If I lived, where there was like Lake Erie or something, like, yeah, I would fish lakes, but like we just don't have that here. So I learned to fish for smallmouth in like kind of those mid to smaller rivers, and that's just a style of fishing I'm good at. So that's what I like to go do. But yeah, the Bassmaster thing, dude, I mean, I just went like I just went just because I want to go to the Susquehanna, and it's fun, and I was like, did the Hobie, I think did I do it 1 year? I think I did it 1 year. I did the Hobie 1 year, and then I did the Hobie 2 years. Yeah, 2 different years I did the Hobie, and like I did better kind of every time, and I started to learn that river. And the Bassmaster, I went there, and the Hobie didn't that year, and I was like, well, I'll just fish the Bassmaster. And I went back, and I was like, I've been to that river enough times where I kind of knew how it set up. Like I knew like, okay, these areas are like this area's like that. This is where the fish will kind of go. And the Susquehanna is super cool. if the upper Mississippi is my favorite trip, like the Susquehanna is my favorite river. So
Really?
yeah, the Susquehanna is definitely my favorite river, and it's just so big. I mean, have you ever been before?
No, I have never been to the Susquehanna. It is on my list of rivers to go to, and
Yeah.
um, there's like the northern branch of the Susquehanna that
Yep.
runs up into New York State
Yep.
side, which is only like a 3 hour drive from where I am. Um, so I have been planning to do a little drop in, road trip car camping weekend where just kind of pick some spots and find somewhere to sleep and fish. But no, I really would like to get down to the actual like Pennsylvania side of the Susquehanna River
Yeah.
and like fish that, because man, it just looks like just such a heaven for smallies.
Yeah, I mean, because you have like the north and the west branch, and they come together. I think it's called Sunbury's, the town, and it makes the main stem, and then that runs all the way to Chesapeake Bay. So there's, I don't know how long that river is, but it's a lot of miles of river, and it's pretty much unimpeded. Like there's some low head dams. There's no like crazy like reservoirs or anything like that. And it's like almost on like the entire river, like most of it, you could paddle to the middle of it and just like jump out and like be in like 4 foot of water. Like it's like very shallow. There's rocks sticking up everywhere. There's grass islands sticking up everywhere, but it's like a mile from shore to shore. So like it's wide. Like it's like you can barely
Yeah.
kind of see across it. And it's an animal, it's its own like river. There's nothing else like it. But I don't know. I went back there just because it's like I just like enjoy fishing there. Like it's just really fun to me. And it to have a tournament on there is like even more fun because then I get to kind of strategize about, I actually like practicing for tournaments more than fishing the actual tournament itself because I fish differently. I like hop around and I like don't, I'm like trying to test out areas and stuff. And that's what's fun for me. And I just got to the point where I knew enough of that river. I was like, okay, I kind of know like the layout and not the whole thing. Like if just probably 20 miles or so of it, I like, okay, I have an idea of like where these fish go seasonally, where they relate to. And yeah, that tournament, I found a spot that I kind of already knew about a little bit because it was, I wouldn't call it a community hole, but like, it's like a whispered community hole. It's like
Oh,
people kind of like a few people know about it, and the people that know about it know it can be good. But it was like it wasn't like this like sleigh fest for me. It's a 2-day tournament. I caught I think 7 fish on the first day total and 9 fish on the second day total. So it wasn't like I was like catching all these fish and just like culling a bunch. Like it was a pretty tough bite. But I knew that the big fish would be there, so I just kind of grinded it out in the spot. And yeah, man, it was cool. It was pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. So
and it's a very prestigious thing to have. You know what I mean? Like especially on, like you said, the river that like really is like your river, like the Susquehanna,
yeah,
and like you are the champion. Whether you look at it on the Bassmaster side or whatever, like you had that thing dialed. You know what I mean? Out of the
yeah,
entire fleet of people out there, and you come down and you're just like, yeah, I'll hit here, I'll hit there, and maybe I'll get lucky and I'll walk away with a trophy. And well, little did you know, you walked away with a pretty prestigious trophy that I'm sure a lot of people were like, holy crap, like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
It was awesome, man. It was a lot of fun, dude. I think I kind of knew I was gonna do well that year. Like I knew I was like, I got some stuff figured out. Like I think I'm gonna do well. But winning a tournament where there's 200 people is like,
yeah,
it just takes this like recipe of like circumstance where you might have 25, 30 guys that are like doing the right thing, and it's like whoever kind of doesn't lose a big fish or whoever doesn't, whatever. Although I did the second day, dude, I broke off an absolute giant first thing in the morning. Like, I don't even know how. I was throwing a chatterbait, like on braid, straight braid, muddy water. And dude, I snapped this thing off and it jumped right next to my kayak, like out of the water. And it was every bit of 20, if not 21 inches. It's humongous.
Yeah. And you're like,
Yeah. I know. I was like heartbroken, but
oh,
you definitely need to get out there, dude. That place is wild. If you haven't been, you should go. Like, if you're a smallmouth guy, and the cool thing about it is you can't put a bass boat on it. Like, you can put a jet boat
yeah.
on it, but it's so shallow. Like, you don't get bass boats on it. So you have jet boats and kayaks, which makes the traffic much lower. And yeah, dude, it's an amazing place for sure. So,
Now, like, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. I think I know that the kayak adventure series this year is gonna be there on August the 8th and 9th for the Susky 5 Slam Jamma, and
yep.
I think it's Boomsburg, Pennsylvania. So that'd be pretty neat. I'm gonna maybe try and make my stop there this year.
I may
It's
be at that one, depending
oh,
on how I do in Minnesota. So we'll see. So
oh yeah, the BronzeQuest. Yes. And that's another one if that's July 11th through 12th. So yeah, the Mississippi is also another one, and especially I've seen a lot of great, anglers who've gone through on the Wisconsin side of the Mississippi River, and it just seems to be like an absolute slugfest of smallmouth.
yeah. It's going to be wild. Like you got, yeah, it will be crazy. Like the numbers that people are going to put up in that tournament, people are going to have like 90-inch days on that tournament and like think that they're going to do well. And they're going to be like way down the leaderboard. They're going to be like very disappointed. You need 95 to 100 if you're going to compete at all for a check. So
Oh yeah.
that's
Ooh.
just going to be what it is. So yeah.
Are you planning to do like a bunch of the Kayak Adventure Series events this year, or?
Well, I was actually planning on doing the Ohio one coming up, but because I'm really good friends with Drew, and like Achigan sponsors we sponsor the tournament trail. So I really wanted to make a run for Angler of the Year this year and like fish some of them, but he had the first couple 3 were like there's only one smallmouth-ish event, and I just couldn't swing it based on my schedule.
The South Boston one?
Yeah, there was definitely
Yeah.
some smallmouth caught in that one. And that was kind of far away from me. So I think I can't do the Midwest one because of my niece's, I don't hate to admit this, my niece's open house is that Saturday, and I would be shamed for my entire life if I missed it. So I have to go do that, which is gonna preclude me from doing
Family first, man. Family first.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't feel bad about it, but it's just
No.
just one of those things.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? You still have 3 other events coming down. So
So I'm saying if I do well in the Minnesota one, because I'm already got committed that I've already signed up for it. Chris and I are teaming up on it. So
yeah.
yeah. So if I do well on that, then I very well may consider doing the last 2 just to like see if I can make a run. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely thinking that August the 8th and 9th is the Kayak Adventure Series in Boonsburg, Pennsylvania is where I'm planning to break my cherry on the Susquehanna,
Yes,
and
you won't be disappointed, promise.
oh, I dream about it every night, you know what I mean? And it's for years I've been watching Jeff Little in the YouTube channel has always been such a educational side for me. I always want to know more, and Jeff has really showcased the Susquehanna River. And just seeing
such a good dude too.
Yeah, and it's so cool to, see this, but to actually go and like see it in person and have a chance to fish it, it's like, yeah, I have a hard time controlling myself. for the Susquehanna.
There's lots of other good rivers though. I mean, I was just on the Muskegon River in Michigan. I mean, that river is like amazing, and it's only 4.5 hours from my house, which is like doable for me on a weekend. Like the Susquehanna is a 9. Like that's like, if I'm going out there, like I'm going to spend at least 3 days. Like I can't just go out there for like a weekend type of thing.
That's a good hike for a weekend.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm like roughly like 5-6 hours to get down there.
Yeah.
So
Totally
it's really,
worth it.
yeah. And everybody deserves a road trip here and there. I love road trips. So
Yeah, dude, for sure.
okay, but hold on here. Whoa, we were talking about something. You won a kayak, the Bassmaster Kayak Series, but you're also like, so you do a kayak fishing, but like you also have a jet boat. So like, was the jet boat something you did before the kayak fishing, or was it kind of, how did you get in? Like, let's just start here. How did you get into, like, what came first?
Definitely kayaks came first in the like pantheon of like my fishing vessels, like that. The kayak got me on rivers first. Well, shouldn't even say that. I mean, I used to wade rivers when I was in like middle school and high school. Like that was what got me addicted to river smallmouth in general. It was my first taste of it. But the kayak thing actually came from I had a bass boat all through high school, like a bass tracker aluminum, and I used to fish tournaments out of it in high school. And I got married and like sort of like lost my way with fishing a little bit. Like, you're in love and in your 20s, and things kind of take priority. And like I found that boat sitting in my garage a lot, and shameful on me, because now that I was like, dude, I had so much time back then. Like I could have fished so much. I didn't have kids. Like
what
it would
was
have
I
been amazing.
thinking?
I know, dude. And I decided to sell the boat because it was kind of collecting dust. And I was like, I still want to be able to get out on the water. So I was like, oh, I'll just buy a kayak, cheap little kayak, and kind of use that, whatever. And that's actually what kind of got me into smallmouth, because I got that little cheap $300 like Dick's Sporting Goods special, whatever. I still have it. It's like a green sit-in, kayak. And I was like, oh shoot, I can throw this in the local river and go smoke a bunch of awesome smallmouth, and kind of started that. And then once I got into river fishing, I was like, you guys, if you fish rivers and people have jets around you, like occasionally we'll see a jet come by and you're like, oh, that's sick. Like you can, get in these skinny rivers in a boat. And I was kind of just like, man, I want to own one. So I started looking around. I think I've had 4 different jet boats at this point, like kind of progressively upgraded, got different styles of them. And then I think I have one that I'll probably have for a while, although I do want an inboard like rock proof eventually, but it's like a $70,000 boat, so I'm not looking to spend that much right now, but a little more than a kayak. But yeah. You only live once. YOLO, baby. So
yeah, that's okay. How about this? If the Indiana Pacers win, you have the golden ticket, because it didn't happen in 25 years. So it may not happen again. So you have to go and you got to get yourself the jet boat of your dreams.
Dude, I should have bet. I swear to God, I saw the odds after the Pacers lost last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. I saw after the season was over, I saw the betting odds come out of all the teams to I don't know if it was to win the finals or go to the finals.
Yeah.
But the Pacers were like some crazy, it was like 20,000 to 1 odds. And or maybe it was not 20,000, maybe it was like 8,000 to 1 or something. It was some crazy deal where it's like, I can't believe there's that and I remember at the time I was like, I should just put like $100 down on this, because maybe it was to win. It was to win the title. It was to win the title, because that's why it was such high odds. And I remember thinking like, dude, I should just put $100 down on this. And I like just forgot about it and never did it. And now I'm like, dude, they're in the freaking file. I could have like, if I'd have put $100 down as 8,001, I'd make 80 grand. I could buy a jet boat.
The jet boat with, you know.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
killing me.
we're gonna have to go through like all the betting apps right now and see if we can get
I
Josh a
know.
jet boat. You know,
Dude, do
it's
you
like,
know how nervous I would be though if I had a $80,000 payout on the line? I guess there would probably like a cash out option at this point in the
I think
finals. But
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
it probably would still like I would be so nervous, dude, if I was like if that was on the line. But
Yeah.
it's not,
And then, you
so.
know, you'd like pick up your phone and you'd look and you'd be like,
I know.
and then I'm
Yeah.
sure your wife might be like, oh, like, what's wrong, Josh? And you'd be like, gotta make this shot, baby.
Oh, my wife's almost as big as Pacer fan as I am, dude.
I'm sure.
I freaking scream and yell during those games. I've been to two of the playoff games this year.
Oh, yeah?
The game 2 of the Buck series and the closeout game of the Buck series when they had that crazy comeback. And dude, I went nuts after Halliburton hit that last layup, dude. I went absolutely berserk.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
No.
it was awesome.
So, okay, but like this idea, like, you know, you do have actually a pretty sweet kayak. Like you're one of those inflatable guys now.
Yep, I have a Hobie I-11 and the Osprey is like my motorized one. So I have the same like one that
Innovative
Jeff has.
sportsmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Hobie I-11 is actually probably my favorite boat, honestly. The Osprey is sick too, but there's a lot of stuff to bring when you bring a motor. The
Well,
Hobie,
I gotta ask you though, you go from, you know, the Hobie and, you know, and when you look at like an inflatable setup, do you find like there's like the plastic to like an inflatable, like do you find a difference in it? Like were you at first, were you kind of like skeptical in that sense? Like, is this like really what I want to get into? You know what I mean? Because for one, like there's a lot of plus sides to the inflatable, and there's also a lot of plus sides to, you know, a solid, you know, plastic hull here. But when we're talking, you know, inflatable, you know, on a river, you know, Jeff's really, in all fairness, Jeff has really sold that idea of, you know, an inflatable kayak on the river, and he has testimony to show it, you know, in the experience in the videos and whatnot, because I've always taken to the idea. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, no, like for you, like what was that like that first experience getting out there on the water and just being like, oh, okay, like let's see, I hope I don't hit a rock, you know, like I hope I don't pop this thing, you know, like whopper plopper to the side, here we go, you know, like
yeah, no
so.
joke. Well, I have a buddy, Jeremy Crow. He's out of Michigan. He's had a Hobie. He had the old school Hobie I-11 and would like always like just, you know, like talk shit more or less about, dude, this thing would like smoke your kayak on the water, like it's a little go-kart, like. And the more I would fish with him and see him using it, and I'm like, dude, that thing is really cool. And I ended up getting a deal on one from a local dealer here because I, you know, did a review on it or whatever. So I got it at their cost. And I like, yeah, the definitely I was like, okay, is this thing gonna hold up? That was my first question. Second one was like, you know, it doesn't have any storage on it. That's probably the biggest downside if I'm gonna like put a downside on it. Like there's no storage.
Yeah.
It's just like a stand-up paddleboard basically. And the storage thing you kind of get around because you just like go lighter, you know, you just take less stuff.
Yeah.
The durability thing I think is overstated quite a bit. Like if you can, dude, I've like hit like rocks full blast in that thing and never had any issues. Literally the only thing that's like put any sort of leak in it has been fish fins, believe it or not, because they're so sharp. Like if you let a smallmouth like flop around on the deck. It can like put pinholes in it. And then I have had a couple treble hook baits come back and like put a tiny hole in the side, but it's not like in the cartoons where it's like, you know, in the air. It's like, oh, after an hour or two, you notice like one of the little pontoons are getting soft, and like there's ways to. I have a field repair kit where you can put like a temporary thing
Patch
on it. Yeah, patch on it. Like, and I carry a small little, it's like a hand pump. I can pump it back up. And then, yeah, permanently I always take a box with me that has like PVC glue and like little patches and stuff. And I've done that, a few times, but that's the Hobie. Like the Hobie does, and the Hobie's sick, dude. It weighs 30 pounds. Like it's nothing. Like, and the Hobie Drive is awesome. Like anybody that's used one knows how like versatile it is and how it's just a sick, you know, form of propulsion. The Osprey, dude, I haven't put a hole in that thing, and I've abused the absolute crap out of it. Like it is, the way they make it is like double thick. You can't like put a hole in it. It's like bulletproof. So.
And if anybody's ever seen Jeff Little's video where he's, you know, cutting these things apart and, you know, just absolute mayhem on it, it's a real testament to how much quality is in that product, you know, how durable it is. And I'm strictly going by like what I'm seeing. I am not at all. I've ever used one, but no, that's neat. Durable. And you know, and then that's just the new, I don't know. I think an inflatable just adds a different vibe maybe to river fishing. Like you said, lighter. Like I find myself personally, it just every time I go out, and it's like every year that I get further and further into this, it's like the less and less I take, you know what I mean? And it's just like I stick to what I, you know, kind of what I know, and I don't really go out there the same way that I've gone, you know, in the past, where it's, you know, an army boat full of rods and tackle and this. It's just, you know, literally narrowed it down now to two Plano boxes and, you know, some soft plastics, and, you know,
I wish I was like that, dude. I take so much shit with me. Like,
well, you have, and you have, you know, you might have, you know, more, definitely might have more experience on that part. But I don't know. I kind of just go with what I know, you know, and don't get me wrong. I'm totally open to trying sweet ass new lures. I find every year.
Yeah, it's not that like I need all that stuff. That's not it. I'm like, I have this like irrational fear that like I'm gonna get out there and there's gonna be a bite that I like don't have, and I'm like not gonna have it. So I'm like, well, I guess I should take my, you know, my swim bait box. Okay, I guess I should take my topwater box. The only time it's like if it's in the middle of winter, like I'm not gonna take topwater, obviously. Like I can leave that at home. But and then the amount of rods, it's like,
yeah,
jeez, dude, I end up with way too many rods. Not Jeff Little. That dude carries. I've never seen anybody take so much crap with him, dude. He's like 15 rods. I usually like stick to 6, maybe on a kayak 7 if I'm like really like feeling like I want to take a bunch. But they get in the way, though, is the thing. That's honestly the thing for me. So. But
I don't know. I'm usually like 4 to 5 rods is generally what I'll take. A 6th one being a swim bait rod. But yeah, no, it is true. Like everybody's different that way. You know what I mean? Like in some people, I just, like I said to everybody, they just, you know, go out there and do you. You know what I mean? Like you're out there, it's your time. You know, if you want to bring all that stuff, go for it. You know, like there's no wrong or right way to do it. You know, you just go out there, you fish, you have fun. And it's funny you say that, because about the whole part about like just worried about what you don't have that day. And there's been times where I'm like, oh, maybe I should have brought a jerk bait, you know. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh man, maybe they would have.
Everybody's been there. I know. Or the worst is like when a buddy starts catching them on something and they only have a couple, and you're just like, can I like get one of those off of you? And they're like, I only have 2. It's like kind of a bad thing. But I'm the guy that lends stuff out to everybody, and then I end up not having it because people lose their stuff. But
Yeah, dude.
yeah. As far as the kayaks go, though, dude, I would say like I have it pretty dialed in. I fish out of 4 different things right now. Like I have the Hobie is like the simplified. I have a Forerunner. I can throw it on top of my bars. Don't take a trailer. No batteries, no motor. I have a crate. Little emergency kit, a little tiny little Yeti cooler, and like my tackle. That's like easy. I throw it all in there. The Hobie drive is like super small. It's super easy. I have the Osprey, which the Osprey is not, even though it's an inflatable, it's not light. It's like similar to like if you had like a PA-12 or something. It's actually fairly heavy. Like it has a metal frame on it and stuff, but that has a motor with it, so you have a battery and all that stuff. But if anybody that's fished with a motorized kayak knows, like it's like a cheat code. So like, even compared to the Hobie, you can't go upstream. Like with just a Hobie drive, like you're limited on where you can go and what you can do in it. Whereas like a motor, you can really like cover a lot of distance, especially upstream, which I prefer that approach. And like I said, it's bulletproof, super awesome kayak. And then I have a raft, which is like a drift raft, which if I'm like a skinny water, but it's like too small for a jet boat, but I want to fish with somebody like together, like Chris and I will go out in that. It's like, you have the oars, and then we have like a big platform on the front. You can stand, the guy that's fishing can stand up on the platform and fish kind of high above the water. And that's really fun. In certain circumstances, I probably use that the least nowadays just because I can take my jet on a lot of those waters now, but there are just rivers with no like ramps, and it's just like it's too small for a jet. And then the jet boat, that's like I do find myself probably using that more than anything nowadays, just because I can take my kids out on it. They can hop in and go out for a couple hours. When I'm done fishing, I just fire up the motor and then go back to the ramp and I'm done, And then the other cool thing about it is like all your crap's in it. So I back it in my garage and I unhook it and I close the door and I'm like done, which it's really
Kayaks
nice.
you can't do. It's
Yeah.
like you got to put everything back in the garage. You got to,
Yeah,
hang this, hang that, Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a definitely more convenient thing, but they all have their place, man. Like honestly, it'd be hard for me to like cut out anything besides, I could probably cut the raft out if I wanted to, but like the other 2 that I have, like they really do serve like very specific purposes, and I couldn't go do some of the things I do if I didn't have all 3 of those. So they're just tools though. Tools to go catch fish. Honestly, I don't really identify with one over the other. It's just like a way to get me on the water and get me to places to catch smallmouth. So
No, and that's cool. Like, and I think that's kind of, because some people are like, I just fish off a boat. Oh,
yeah.
I just fish off. I'm a raft guy, or I'm a kayak. I'm a bank fisherman.
Yeah.
Where you can honestly utilize and gain more. I don't know. The more experience you can get out on the water and those different situations that you put yourself in, whether you're going off of a boat or you're going off of a kayak or you're doing the raft, or you're literally guiding yourself down the river. It's just more experience, and you can use those tools, and you can use that as your experience as a tool the next time you're out on the river, because most times you're all out there doing the same thing. How you're out there is really irrelevant, because you're all chasing the same idea. You're just going out there to fish. You're going out there for the same purpose, like whether it's smallmouth or whatnot. In this case, it is only smallmouth. So, that's cool. I think that's really a neat way. And those options, I bet the boat's probably the easiest one to just throw in the back and not have to deal with any of the gear, because any kayak angler definitely knows, when you get home and you got all of that gear that you either out in the back or in some cargo carrier, or it's like, oh, gotta deal with this.
Another thing cool about inflatables is like, and I've done it before, I've deflated my kayak and put it in my jet boat. And like if I'm going on like a trip where I may want to use the kayak or the jet, I can like have it all inside of the jet. And when I get to where I'm going, I just, I inflate the kayak, set it out, and then I'll go have a jet day, come back. I'm like, oh, let's go in some kayak water, take the kayak out, So I've done that several times, and it's pretty cool to be able to do that. I definitely neat thing.
And as a Smallie Talk podcast fan, I've listened to a lot of your recaps on your trips, and it's true. You're like, yeah, so we brought the inflatable, brought the kayaks, and and now you got the jet boat. You're just hammering up the river, and then you're like, yeah, gonna go out in the kayaks now. So like, I gotta ask you, like the Smallie Talk podcast, like you said it, you're a smallmouth guy. That's your thing. You literally live and breathe it. You're the leader of the bronze cult. So when it comes to this podcast, like what inspired you to do a podcast? Like, and I asked that, like, honestly, like, because we all, like, even for me, like, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but to like hear it from you, man, like what was your drive for doing the podcast end of it?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Honestly, man, so we started, I think we were in our 7th season. So been around, like, podcasts weren't really that popular back when we started it. They were definitely only audio. It wasn't like everybody has like their YouTube channel and stuff nowadays. It wasn't like that back then. And I remember I got into podcasts, like listening to podcasts through an NPR podcast called Serial. I don't know if you've listened to that particular podcast. It's a very good podcast if you haven't listened to it. It's true crime. It's not any relation to fishing, but I drive a lot for my job, and I was like, dang, this is awesome to be able to listen to something while you're driving and like be entertained. Because like before I'd like only listen to music or the sports radio and it was on, and like, I'm like, podcast, like it's like watching a show except it's just audio. And the more I got into listening to them, the more I'm a fisherman, so I'm like, well, there's got to be fishing podcasts. So I'd start listening to some fishing podcasts, and there were not like hardly any back then, dude. I mean, it was like far and few between. There was definitely zero ones that talk about smallmouth. There's like an episode of like the Orvis podcast or something that had a fly guide on there or something like that. It just wasn't very much stuff. And I was like, dude, I should just like start a smallmouth podcast. And so Chris is a real good fishing buddy of mine. We actually started a blog. That Quest for 23 was originally a blog. Like, so it's still out there. If you go to questfor23.com, you can read, the early blog entries. That's right, buddy.
Yeah.
I like that. And then we were kind of like writing. I enjoy writing a lot, but dude, writing is like takes a lot of like time and edits and putting pictures in. And it's like, it was a lot of time. And I was like, dude, we should just like do this as a podcast. And then one day I called him, I was like, dude, you want to like start a smallmouth podcast with me? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And what do you want to name it? And Chris is like, we were texting back and forth. He's like, how about Smallie Talk? And I was like, dang, that's perfect. Let's do it. And then that's how it came to be. So
sold,
Yeah. Yeah. Chris is like one of the smartest guys I know. So he's like, if we like need like a name like that or something, he's like really, really good at coming up with stuff like that. And he nailed it. Simple, clever, nobody's used it. So,
dude, it's like self-sold at this point. It sells itself.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about like writing and stuff. I always enjoy doing like blogs and stuff, but like I find like it's like from on a podcast standpoint to writing a blog about this, that, or whatever. It's like, oh my god, it's more work to write it out and get the pictures and do all that than it is to sit down and literally have a conversation like what we're having right now.
I know. So it's so much. I mean, blogs used to be the ticket, man. Blogs used to be like what everybody like everybody made money doing all these like famous blogs and stuff. And I think that's kind of went by the wayside, and like podcasts are more of like YouTube channels. Podcasts are like more of how people intake that media, that type of media. Yeah, like that's, I mean, we can sit down and record an episode and just do a few edits, add intro, like boom, you're done.
Yeah.
You don't have to mess with it. So yeah.
You're not going through like editing it where you're literally, can you what do you think of this? Oh, maybe
I
change
know.
it. Oh, what do you No, that's cool. Like I said, I have always been a fan of the Smallie Talk podcast. It is
Yeah, thanks, man.
I'm one of those guys who gets up at 4 a.m. every day, and I start my day off with the podcast. Or, if I'm doing like, especially on road trips, it's, I love kayak fishing, but I love talking about smallies and listening to people talk about smallies. So the Smallie podcast was just one of those podcasts that I put on, and you've had some great guests on there. You have put together. It is very humorous, the way that you guys sit down and interact. Like it's, to me, it's I'll be honest, I sit there sometimes and I'm laughing my head off, and like not a lot of podcasts, I'll be honest, do that. You don't get that. It's more just, like, to the point.
We definitely don't take ourselves too seriously. And like for us too, I mean, Chris is an attorney. He has a business, and like he has 3 kids. I have 2 kids and own multiple businesses. And like, I would love to put out an episode a week out, and like, and at some point maybe it will go back to that, but it's like, we just kind of do it when we have time. Like tonight we're supposed to do an episode. We'll see if Chris texts me back, but yeah, we're supposed to do an episode tonight. So yeah, we just kind of like release episodes whenever we have a moment to do it. So it kind of sucks. I wish it was more consistent, but yeah, I mean, we have a good time. It's just an outlet for us to kind of just like, talk about our stuff, and glad people get some laughs out of it. So
no, and it's not just laughs, but like we learn. Like and especially your recaps. Like when you have your recaps where you're driving and you're just, talking about, how your day went, and,
it's good to know. I'm glad you like those. Those are the easiest ones to record. So I should probably do more of those. So.
I think those are cool. But like, so here it is. Like, come on, Chris, answer for all the fans of Smallie Talk. Can you get us another episode, please? We need it, like we need some Smallie Talk in this. But yeah, no, like I said, like I think what you guys are doing, it's super cool, and it's very chill, relaxed, you know what I mean? I'll be honest with you, when I first heard Smallie Talk, I honestly thought it was like based out of like California. Like I didn't realize that you guys were like in Indiana, and I was just like, really? No way. Like this is cool, you know what I mean? But like you guys just have that, I don't know, you're just very like chill, relaxed, on cool. The podcast, and it's a very cool. But now I did want to know, do you still support that alternative lifestyle of vans and swim baits?
I do, man. I definitely am becoming more of a swim bait guy. Like I still haven't, dude, I need to throw a glide. I've been so like obsessed with testing this munchie that like if I go out, like I have at least 2 rods with munchie on, and I'm like always like, that's my first like thing I'm trying, to the point where I've like probably to my detriment. But dude, I've caught so many big fish on that thing since I've been testing it. It's been pretty fun to do. But yeah, dude, I'm all about the swim bait culture. Love it.
So when you buy swim bait, you also get another pair of vans to go with it, like that's how, that's how I'm doing it. I got my swim baits all laid out, and then I got like my vans laid out too, Okay, so let hold on here. We'll leave the swim bait thing alone because that's a slippery slope. But let's talk about the munchie. Like the munchie is it's cool. It's a Smallie snack. It's in a what to me looks like a Doritos bag. Yeah, I like Doritos and Mountain Dew, so that's always good for me. I'm just curious. What in the world made you decide to want to come out now? Not only you guys have hats, t-shirts, you do art, you have all the accessories, you also do Smallie games, which we'll touch on that after getting through the munchie, because I think the munchie is just such a cool looking bait. But I gotta ask you, like, you decided to come out with this bait and you got it in all sorts of different, like pink ghost, you've got everything from watermelon trout, um I I I just the jizzard, like you got your all
Yeah.
your I don't know who's coming MIA, like yeah, dude, like I think it's super cool, like what you guys like. Now you're getting into baits. Is this something that we could expect more from Achigan, like more baits to come, or is this kind of so like first, like how about this? Why don't we just get to the nitty gritty of this? Like you decided to come out with the munchie.
Mhm.
What gave you this idea to come out? Is there just nothing on the market that's really like this? Is there just something that you felt was missing that you could give it your own, tweak to it?
Yeah, kind of similar to the podcast, honestly. Like I fish a nose hook fluke a lot. It's like my like jam, dude. It's like what I catch all my fish on. Not all, but it's my favorite bait to throw. Um, and I started getting into swim baits a little bit, and not like definitely not like what some guys are doing, but like, mainly throwing like big paddle tails, like mag draft style baits. And like, I started realizing like how fun it is to throw big baits for smallmouth. Like they eat like mag drafts, like they don't eat anything else. And I was like, dang, what would be cool is I have like a mega sized fluke that I can nose hook. And like there are some stuff out there, like Zoom has like the Magnum fluke, but like if you try to
Yeah.
nose hook it, they just like tear apart because they're not strong enough at the nose to handle all that weight. And I was like, man, what if we made this out of an alternative material that lasts longer, and maybe put some mesh in the nose so when you put the nose hook through, it like doesn't pop out. And like one thing led to another, and we just like came up with the idea. Andrew, my neighbor, the partner in the Achigan, he sketched it out in a napkin. We found a guy that does 3D printing, and we're like, dude, 3D print us a mold. And he did, and we made some. And we're like, holy shit, these are sick. They work really well. And then we went through a few revisions, changed the design, tweaked it around until we came to that and started making them. So yeah, we make we don't make them near as like as in volume as what we should,
Mm-hmm.
but we're doing the like garage swim bait style drops. So you just like, we make them,
Yeah.
make a bunch, and then we do a drop, and people go online, buy them, and they sell out in an hour, and then we make some more and just keep doing it. So yeah.
Yeah. And then like I'm one of those guys, on Facebook at break, and I'm like, I'm like, oh sick, another drop. And then I'm like, that's 16 hours ago. Guarantee that sold out an hour after. Ugh.
Yeah, they go
because
fast for sure.
and they do. And because you can get actually two, right? You have a nose hook and you have the belly slot. So, that gives anglers who prefer the nose hook. I got into nose hooking flukes probably about two years ago, as I always used to do the EWG. And it was one of those things that I just decided, I taking a small drop shot hook, putting it through, or a wacky hook, and I just kind of I threw it out there, and I would just reel it in through it. And I was surprised, to be honest, I didn't think my hookup ratio would be that good, but like you said, when a smallie comes through and they just inhale that very slender profile, it's like it's a guaranteed for the top lip, or this the side of the mouth.
The hookup ratio like is better. Like I think it's an exposed hook, so you like think of it like that. Like an EWG, you're having to drive that through the plastic, and like really like scrunch up the bait to get it to go
Penetrate the
hook.
mouth.
Yeah, the nose hooks kind of like almost hook themselves a lot of times. It can be frustrating at times if they're eating it, like, if they're like grabbing the back of it or something, it happens. But most of the time they eat it pretty good. But yeah, man, it's made out of silicone, which is a lot different than like what you would think of in a traditional bait. So most baits are made out of plastisol. Like it's made of a 2-part mixture. I actually have like one right here. You can see like very, very stretchy. I have a hook in it, so you can see like, the hook's not just gonna like come out. Like it's super durable. So I mean they last. They're definitely expensive for what they are, but I think a lot of people equate it to like a soft plastic. It's not really soft plastic, it's silicone. So it, should, like, I threw one that whole trip in Michigan. I think I lost one. Like, I mean, I caught a ton of fish on it. So like they last forever. Whereas like a fluke, you'll go through a bag of flukes in like a couple of hours, like, if your fish are eating them pretty aggressively. So yeah, so it's a silicone bait, and yeah, it's cool, man.
It is. It is.
If you get a chance to get one, snag them and try them out because they work. So
don't have to twist my wrist on that because
I'll get you some though. I'll get you a special care package. How about that? So.
Oh, that would be that's very generous. I'll be honest with you. That's cool because I've definitely been wanting to try them out. So I'll make sure to send you some sweet Smallie pics as they get hammered on the Canadian side.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so I remember, seeing that you were coming out with this bait. And I remember going and seeing that post also where you were going and you're like, hey, like, what are we going to name this thing?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing some of the names. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I chuckled at a couple of them. But then I remember seeing it was like Munchie. You know what I mean? Like you guys came out with this and you called it Munchie. And then there was the drop of like the Smallie Snacks Dorito bag looking thing. And I was like, yes, that's awesome. Like that is so sweet. Like a Dorito bag, like, for instance, like which river guy or anybody who goes fishing loves Doritos, probably loves Mountain Dew, and then next thing you know, you got Smallie Snacks in a Dorito bag. Like that is sick. Like it's super cool. So let's get the name here, the Munchie. Like who came up with this here?
So here it's actually a pretty fun story. Like we have Achigan meetings periodically. We haven't had one in a while. Usually like once a month or so we'll get together at the office and like, just talk about what we're doing next, projects, all that stuff, and strategize. And I got the idea. I was like, dude, we're gonna like do these baits because we were talking about doing baits. We weren't quite sure what it was gonna be yet. Weren't sure we're gonna name it and package it and all that. And I honestly, I don't even know what gave me the idea, but I was like, dude, we should do like this spoof off of snack foods. And on my way to the meeting, I stopped at the gas station and literally got like Doritos and Lay's and Snicker bar and like M&Ms. And like, I got a bag of snacks and I was like, I told the guys, I texted the guys that day, I was like, I got something sick for you. I was like, I'm gonna drop this idea on you and you guys are gonna like, it's gonna blow your minds. And they're like okay. And we get there and they're like, we don't even like do the meeting. They're just like, all right, we just need to like hear what your idea is. So I like go and I have the sack and I just like throw all these like snacks on the table. And I was like, all right. I was like, here's the deal. I was like, think about like snack foods, smallmouth eat baits. So we're going to take these iconic snack food bags. We're going to redesign them to be our like bait packaging. And then we're going to name the bait kind of after food. And they were like, holy shit, dude, that's going to be awesome. And then we started coming up with ideas about like, we could do this, we could do that. And then next, the Dorito bag was like, I wanted to do that specifically. So I was like, 90s Dorito bags, people will see that immediately and know what it is. It's such a distinct, thing. And so Dustin, my brother-in-law was like, dude, redesign a Dorito bag and see what you come up with. And he like made a prototype of it and brought it to the next meeting and like nailed it. Here's the prototype bag of it. I have one of them. So it was originally, we didn't know what the name was going to be. He just like named it Bronzitos.
Oh, Bronzitos.
Yeah,
dude.
So this was like the original like prototype bag. And then after that, we kind of like, did the like little tweaks to it and designs, and then found a bag manufacturer, and next thing you know, it's the rest is history. So, and we have a lot more coming though. To answer your question, this is just a one of many. This is the first. This is the path for Achigan to be like a legit, like, we can do this for a living. We're gonna make a whole line of Smallie snacks lures. We're taking them into retail. We're gonna get them into tackle shops and stuff. So look out for that. It's happening in the next couple of years. So
Get excited. I like this.
Yeah.
I like that little drop right there. Like, just to let you know, like, something big's about to happen. 2026, 2027. This is gonna go full tilt. I like it. I have to say though, like, when you get into just seeing how you guys are just so excited to make this bigger, you can tell that you guys are really invested in this. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just like, we got a couple t-shirts, we got some of this, we got that. It's like, no, like, we want to do this for a living. And I think that's really cool. It shows you guys have a lot of passion and drive, and I think that's just what makes your brand that much more. I think that's why people just drive to it. You know what I mean? Because you're kind of doing something that, I think a lot of people would like to do, and you're living and breathing it.
It's hard work, dude. I will say, like, it in like theory, a lot of it sounds fun, and it is fun. It has its moments where it's like, dude, this is pretty awesome. But like, in between all those awesome moments, there's a lot of like, I'm working until 10 o'clock at night at the office, and like, I'm taking hooks and putting them in little bags, and I'm sealing up stuff, and I'm folding shirts, and I'm putting them in, or cleaning molds to make more bait. Like, it's a lot of work. And up to this point, we don't pay ourselves anything. Like, we just roll it all back in the business to try to like grow it. And luckily, like, all the guys that are in with me are like down with that like vision. They want to keep it going. And but a lot of hours, a lot of sacrificial type of stuff. But I think any company that is worth its weight, like, you have to go through a period of time where you kind of eat shit, and this is like kind of our period of time, and it'll take another 2-3 years of doing this before it gets to the point where we can really like jump off and quit our day jobs. But that's the goal. So
now, one last thing that we got to touch on is Smallie games. So we've got all the merchandise, accessories. We got Smallie snacks, as in the munchie, and now you have a full-on Smallie games, which is a board that you get to go across.
I love how you're like trying to think of how.
I don't really know. I don't want to say it's a tournament, because it's not a tournament. It's just like
the smallmouth board game, dude. That's the way.
It's a game, and you go across, and you go and you catch, and you got different, I remember one year you had the idea where, you had to go out and catch a smallmouth on a certain lure, at that point of the river. And then, you have also, if you caught a 20, you can use it here, but like, Smallie games, like, who, like, once again, like, who's the brainchild behind this? Is this all you, Josh, or like, what's going on, dude?
I mean, the original idea was mine, but like, it was a collaboration after that original kind of pitch. Like, yeah, I'm definitely the idea guy. If you can't tell already, like I'm like my brain's always like running 100 miles an hour, trying to like figure out the next thing and what we can do. And Achigan's kind of my outlet for that. I kind of like, oh, hey, I want to do this stuff. How can we do it? Inside of this. But yeah, Smallie Games is fun, dude. It's kind of just an interactive at this point. It's like something fun that we do. It attracts people to our brand, gives us like an identity. I think we have a couple hundred people playing this year, so it's not like crazy huge or anything like that. But yeah, it's just an interactive board game where you buy a board and then you buy game pieces throughout the season, and they represent fish that you catch throughout the season, and you get game pieces in the mail. There's little stickers, and you put them on the game board and try to beat the game. If you win, you become a bronze master, and you get all kinds of cool free stuff at the end of the season. And usually do like a personalized hat with your name on it, like a little trophy, like we do challenge coins and things like that. So it's pretty fun. So yeah.
Yeah. So here is this is Smallie Games starter pack. This is streams and waiters, and you can just see it looks like a comic book. You know what I mean? It has that vibe right there, like an old Spider-Man comic book. It's super, super unique that way. And then for every spot on your board, it looks like you have a little piece, right? And each piece represents either anywhere from a 19 to up to a 23-inch smallmouth. Like that is cool. Like
still never had a 23 turned in. And this is our 4th season. So
maybe this is 2025 could be the year for having it. Like that's, to me, like that is just super cool. Like to have this game and go out there, challenge yourself, and you work it at your pace and you get through it. And whether and there is a lot of these, which then go into this elite round table of bronze masters. And, those are all the guys who have completed this. A friend of mine, Thomas Plechny, he actually crushes it up here in Canada. Like, and yeah, like I remember him, he's like, yeah, I'm doing Smallie Games. I'm like, dude, you're going to crush it. He's like, I'm going to try. I'm like, no, you're going to crush it. And you know what? I couldn't get over it. I was blown away. Like, I was just like,
yeah, first Canadian bronze master, dude.
Yeah. And so shout out to Thomas, man. Like that's super cool. So I'm sure he's going to be back at it again. And he also has a YouTube channel. Check it out. River Smallies, Ontario. But yeah, no, that's cool. That's pretty neat. So I got to ask you, what do you got left? Like what's your plans for 2025, your season, fishing? What can we expect from it? We kind of got a little nitpick of what we can expect coming from Achigan. We got some more stuff, but what do you got going on, dude, as we come near the end of our podcast here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of stuff planned this year. I'm going to go do that Kayak Adventure Series in Minnesota, which I'm very excited about, spending a week catching upper Mississippi River smallmouth. And then, just got a couple other boys trips planned. We usually do one like really like big one. We usually do it in the spring, but I think we're going to do it in the fall this year. So we may go to Susquehanna. I don't know. It's to be determined yet. But other than that, man, yeah, just staying busy, keeping all the businesses rolling, and try to catch as many smallmouth as I can. So,
all right. So I gotta say, once again, Josh, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the River Run podcast. It's finally awesome to sit down and have you on the podcast to just talk smallies, because as you are the leader of the bronze cult, and it's finally nice to have you on. But yeah, dude, like it has been really great talking with you. And if you want, you can shout out. I'm sure a lot of them know where to find you, but for the folks that might want to check you out online, let them know where to find you, man.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to keep up is just our Instagram page, Achigan at Achigan brand. So you can find us on there. We're on Facebook as well. And then the podcast, we're on all the major platforms. So like, Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. Definitely more of an audio podcast than we are video. We do have a YouTube channel, but it's I just upload the, recordings to it. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm about the bronze on Instagram. It's like my Instagram handle. But yeah, I spend most of my time on the Achigan page. But if you want to hang out, catch a smallmouth with me, come to the Kayak Adventure Series in Minnesota, BronzeQuest. Achigan's like the main headline sponsor of that. So pretty pumped for that. Drew puts a really cool event together, and I can't wait to be up there. It's going to blow some people's minds.
And you usually do the brunch too, hey? You've gone and been like a life coach for smallmouth followers. You've gone and spoken the words that they're looking for, the encouragement for finding smallies on the water. And because you did 2 of them, you did. I know. I remember seeing a video of you doing one. So
yeah, I did do I did a like Bass U brunch.
Yes, that's it.
A talk. But yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know that I may do one. I don't know. We'll see. Drew hasn't really said anything to me, so those are fun. I definitely just want to go up there and fish though. So
Sweet,
worst case scenario, just I'll talk smallmouth with you if you're out there, and maybe see you on the water. So
all right, well. You had it, folks. Once again, this is the River Run Podcast. Tonight, my guest, Josh Chrenko, has come down from the Smallie Gods Achigan brand. You got it. Follow him at About the Bronze. He is truly living the smallmouth river rat lifestyle. He's alternative lifestyle too, of swim baits and bands. But at the end of the day, I'm your host, Adam Pross, and this is the River Run Podcast. You can find this presented by Paddle and Fin. Paddle and Fin has a great lineup of podcasts. You can stream them on the podcast networks. Also, don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, comment. I appreciate each and every one of you who listens tonight. Thank you once again, Josh, for coming on the podcast. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Later, Adam.
Later, dude.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.